Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Core Connection. I'm Mira Rubin here with you on Enlightened World Network. And today's topic is from the inside out and how our level of awareness impacts the world that we're creating. So before we get started, let's just take a minute to settle in and let's take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold it and imagine sparkling, clear, crisp oxygen coursing into your lungs, throughout your body, through your bloodstream, into your cells and your organs, and enlivening and revitalizing you. And as you exhale, exhale any stress, any tension, any holdover that's in the way of creating a completely new day. And now let's take another deep breath in through your nose. Hold it, and this time imagine clear, bright, brilliant light coursing into your being, into every molecule, into the electrons, just lighting you up from the inside out and connecting you with the world beyond. And now let's just exhale any remaining tension, any remaining stress, and let's gently press our palms together. Softly, softly, softly rub your fingers against your palms and feel the tingling and the tickling and the sensation, and allow yourselves to bring yourselves present in your body right here, right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's a new week. And today's topic is from the inside out. And I've been taking a course called Leading from the Emerging Future. I've mentioned this a couple times previously. And the idea behind the course is that so much of the policies and the structures of our civilization are created based on past. It's a common saying, past performance is an indicator of future success. The thing is that we are encountering all kinds of circumstances and situations in the world that are unprecedented, and that our past responses are not going to be adequate to address. Good morning, Nikki. Welcome, welcome, and welcome to everybody who's here. I'm really glad to be here with you this morning. So we're talking about from the inside out and what it looks like to create a world from the future, from emerging possibility, and how the quality of the world we create and the systems and the structures we create are a result of our level of awareness and consciousness. And so if we're coming, for instance, from a place of competition and experiencing others as adversaries or threats, then we're going to create very different policies than we would if we are feeling a comradeship or a connection with the other people that are impacted by our decisions. So Dido, you are, as always, wonderful. Welcome. It's so great to have you here. And Dido placed a link to the course Leading from the Emerging Future in the chat. It's a free course. It's one of these MOOCs, which is a mass online experience. I am trying to remember which organization, which school it's from. I'm not sure if it's Stanford or a different school. Anyway, it's a really, really interesting structure and an interesting approach to recognize, and it's just so obvious, really, to recognize that we don't have the structures to be creating solutions for situations that are unprecedented. And one of the situations that is unprecedented is that it has become absolutely impossible. Thank you, MIT. Thank you. It's from MIT, not Cornell. I should have remembered that. Thank you, Dido. So where was I? So the thing that we're all very aware of now more than ever is that we are a global community, that we are one human family, and our structures and policies have originated from a place of separation and competition and isolation in a certain respect. And now the paradigm is calling, or a new paradigm is calling us to really recognize that we are all connected in a way that has never been so undeniably apparent. So what does it look like? What does it look like to elevate our own awareness of the interconnectedness of humanity and nature? What does it look like to look at our future from a place that isn't driven by a notion of competition and um, adversaries, for instance? So as we elevate our own awareness, what like toward peace, toward presence, toward really recognizing the challenges in our contemporary world, as we evolve, then we have a different perspective. We generate different solutions and different approaches to circumstances. Even in our conversation here, I've seen that again and again, which is really, really beautiful and inspiring. When I'm not sure who it was recently was talking about learning to come to circumstances from a place of love and connection rather than trying to solve the problem, to lean into connection with the other people that are involved in the challenge. And that perspective, that shift of paradigm from I'm just going to solve the problem and the people are incidental, to focusing more on the relationships, to recognize perhaps deeper root to whatever the perceived quote unquote problem was. So in cultivating those relationships, what we can recognize is that things become visible. We get to unearth the deeper dynamic often that is at play. And so what we're looking at in terms of a future is needing to find ways to interact with one another and our systems and our structures, and the systems and structures that we're promoting and supporting and developing, we to look at them from a place of how it might be impacting the greater picture, the more global dynamic. Because what we're realizing is that we're not isolated. We don't get to do things and make decisions in isolation. There's always a consequence or an impact for our actions. And it may be really isolated in a small circle, depending on scope and scale, or it may be something that could reach hundreds or thousands or millions of people. And so when we recognize, when we come from a place of deeper connection, then we have a different outcome. We have a different focus, we have a different outcome. And we can see this, not, we don't even have to go to the global scale. This is such an important thing in negotiating our individual lives as well. When we come from a place of separation, or feeling at the effect of feeling victim, for instance, when we feel like we're a victim of our circumstances, then the way that we interact with our circumstances is that we have first of all abdicated a certain amount of our own power and uh, and sovereignty, and our ability to be present as a factor in creating an impact. Hello and good afternoon, Hope. It's wonderful to have you here. Thank you for your wishes. I hope all is well with you as well. Thank you for being here. So, um, when we experience ourselves as victims, we disempower ourselves from being able to impact our circumstance. When we interact from a place of rage or separation, we don't have the opportunity to create a connection that will move us into a higher place collectively, either with ourselves in our close circle, or even on a broader scale in the world. And I tend to believe that the more we individually elevate ourselves to a place of sovereignty and wholeness and connection, that is in itself a frequency. That frequency propagates, and it has a larger impact beyond our personal experience. And it's kind of the resonance field idea, and the 100th monkey idea. The 100th monkey idea is something we've talked about before, but I don't know if it's urban legend or not so urban legend, but it's a story about these monkeys that were on isolated islands, and the monkeys on one island learned to wash their food, or break the shells for um, certain shellfish, in a certain way. They learned to use tools to break the shells open, I think is what it was. And after a certain number of monkeys on this island learned the skill of using tools to break the shells, then the monkeys on another nearby island, where there was no communication between the monkeys on one and the monkeys on another, not like one monkey swam to the other island or anything. All of a sudden, the monkeys on the other island started using tools too. So this is the idea. I said the resonance field, but what I mean is the morphic field, and that was an idea generated by Rupert Sheldrake, or he, I believe, is the first to coin that term. And it is the field of intercommunication and change. And to say that as things are morphing in one area of the field, when there is a critical mass reached, then that frequency or knowledge or information is automatically transmitted to another portion of the field, because ultimately the field is all interconnected. And so as we elevate ourselves, we elevate the systems and structures we create, and thereby we elevate all of humanity and the morphic field. We impact the morphic field. So the interesting thing that's coming to mind for me is that the thoughts we think, the habits we have of thinking, are also energetic in nature. And as we elevate our own beingness and our own internal conversation, then that also propagates. And I'm not talking about being the thought police. What I'm talking about is elevating our own experience and our own presence and our own awareness, and knowing that in that singular action, in that individual pursuit, we actually are having an impact on the world and the world at large, or the universe at large. So that's why people talk about meditators. Actually, there have been a lot of experiments around this, and this is another example from the inside out. So have been studies done where meditators collectively meditated on love and peace, and the surrounding city had a statistically significant drop in crime rates, and there may have been even health impacts on the surrounding communities as a result of the meditators meditating. Or we can say, maybe we can't prove that it was a result, we can prove that it was coincident. And I think that these studies have been done with enough frequency to be able to legitimately justify a hypothesis, a solid hypothesis, that that our consciousness impacts the surrounding consciousness. So right now, given the social climate of fear and division and distrust, what we get to do is cultivate our internal fortitude and vision and peace, and that to recognize that that has an impact in the world, that and at the very least, by not contributing to the additional the fear and the foment and the separation, that too is making an impact. So the inside, our beingness, our way of thinking, our way of being, does have an impact in the world. And maybe that can serve as an inspiration and a validation of the internal work that so many of us are doing to become awake and aware, to recognize that as you elevate yourself, you are indeed contributing to the elevation of humanity. And yeah, I'm thinking about these things because I've been seeing a rise of contradiction and conflict, uh, conflict, where uh, there's a growing polarization, and or that's what is easy to see, that there's a growing polarization. And at the same time that there's a growing polarization, I know too that there is a growing unity. And so many of us are focusing our attention and our intention on creating this deeper collective awareness and connection, connection and communion, let's say communion with ourselves, with each other, with the planet. And I think we get to put our attention on that in a deliberate way to impact the global outcome, not to ignore difference, but to come to difference with an open heart. As part of this course that Dido so wonderfully put the link to in the chat called Leading from the Emerging Future. The foundation of it is that what we need to do to create the future is to sense into it, and how we sense into it is through presencing ourselves. And so that's presencing and sensing all together. And as we presence ourselves, what we're doing is bringing ourselves forward with open mind, open heart, and open will. And so we are allowing ourselves to be present to other perspectives. We're being present with an open heart, creating connection, and we are cultivating the will to take appropriate action. And sometimes the appropriate action is to find open heart and open mind. So um, yeah, we get to create the future. We are conscious, we are creators, whether we're conscious or otherwise. So why not be conscious creators? And why not make choices that enhance our own sense of well-being and presence, and consequently impact everything that moves from us, our communications, our relationships, our structures, and our beliefs that move from inside out. So I think that's it for today. I want to say thank you so much again for being here. I'm Mira Rubin. This is the Core Connection. I go live every weekday morning at 9 a.m. And I apologize, I was a few minutes late this morning, but I made it, and you're here, and I'm thrilled to have you here with me to share this time. And please make sure to check out the other wonderful programming on Enlightened World Network's Facebook page. And I hope to see you again here really soon. Lots and lots of love, deep compassion, and together we can do this. We can.